Hello, welcome. This is a very special edition that we last minute engineered for all you people hacking at a hackathon. And in this session, we'll be somewhat technical. It is about how to get started on your local machine and then how to use the tools that are there to bootstrap and scaffold an app. Maybe we have enough time to also show something on bots. If not, if there is like a need for that, we can also do another session tomorrow, specifically zooming in into bots. Because what we see with all the submissions that are currently there for the ideas is that most of them are either trying to develop an app or trying to develop a bot. There's a few brave people that want to dig into core and build something really great in there. But that's two teams. So mainly we're going to focus on getting local development up and then bootstrapping the app and the bot. All right. So let's, there's two approaches to having a local development environment. One is to use our official Docker local development solution, and the other one is, I'm a little bit old, so I use the old school approach where I just go to my terminal and then clone the repo. So in here I have my terminal, boom, and in there I've cloned the repo. Here I cloned Rocket.Chat. I have a branch.
Streaming is on.
Welcome, Deb.
Hey guys.
Hello.
Took a little bit more time than expected. What's going on?
Well, I'm just started off and did an explanation on what we're going to do today, get our local developments up and running, and then scaffold and bootstrap an app. And I already started showing it the old school way, meaning that I have a clone of Rocket.Chat here, and then I have in my bash profile, I have NVM, so I can source that. Oops, source that. And from there, I get NVM, and in there, if I now do yarn, it will complain about the wrong version of Rocket.Chat, and then I need to go and get the proper version, which is currently 14. Here we are, 14.9.
That's the version of the node, right?
The node, yes.
Yeah.
So NVM is the node version manager, and by giving it the command to NVM use that version, it will use that version. Obviously, before you need to do NVM install to get that version into your NVM. And after that, I can just run the version into your... Can somebody mute the stream? Perfect. So after that, it will start and build the packages, and I can do, after this one is done, I can do a yarn build that will build all the assets, and after that I can do yarn dev, so I can directly interact with my system. That's one way of doing it, and that's just presented to wait until see, okay, how can you do it the modern way? And the modern way is with a local Docker container, meaning that you have like microservices inside a box, inside your Docker, and then you can directly program against that one.
That's nice. That's awesome. And remember, so if you want to change to the code base, the core of Rocket.Chat, that's the way to go, right? You're going to have the development environment for you, and then you're going to change the code. You're going to rebuild Rocket.Chat core. You should always, unless you're contributing with code, you should try to always avoid doing change that you need to maintain yourself. So imagine the situation that we are going some security patches or some other versions that you're going to grow. Every time, if you do that, if you change the code to achieve something that you want, you're going to have to backport those changes every time. Okay, so if that's not for you, we are going to talk now about the app. So Rocket.Chat. So this is if you want to contribute with code and if you want to change something on the core of Rocket.Chat, what Floris showed you is going to get you a nice development environment, right? However, you need to ask yourself, should I change the core, or if that function that I want to do, maybe I can achieve that using maybe a webhook, or maybe using the REST APIs, or ultimately developing a Rocket.Chat app. Okay, so that's the three levels of integration that you can achieve in Rocket.Chat, right? Usually we'll start with webhook integration, and we have seen this path a lot, right? We start with webhooks integration. So basically, what is a webhook is that you can receive information from outside, or you can send information from Rocket.Chat. Okay, so the incoming webhook, you're going to actually have a webhook, an address that you're going to receive. You can send some payload there, and then you can run some JavaScript code, maybe to change the payload a little bit. And then you're going to have a message going to a channel or into a direct message. Okay, so you can create a lot of webhooks. The other is the outcoming webhook. What it means is that you can configure some trigger words, okay, specifically to a channel or to a direct message. And then whenever you send that trigger word, Rocket.Chat is going to dispatch the payload to whatever place you want to receive the payload, right? So you can figure some situations like whenever you have a CRM or any other external software, and then every time that something happens, there's a webhook there, and you want to alert a channel for that. Okay, so that's the first level of integrations, and then we go to the second level of integrations, which is using the REST APIs and the real-time APIs. Okay, all of that we have a comprehensive documentation, so you can navigate, you can see some call examples, and in any problem you have the support channel in our open server. Okay, so basically the REST API, you're going to consume those APIs, and it's RESTful, right? You're going to consume that and check. You can get information, you can change information if you have the authentication credentials for that with the necessary permissions. Okay, so those are, now you're on the second level, and sometimes you're going to bump into some features like, okay, I want to have a different interface into the channel. I want to intercept some messages, and that kind of behavior you cannot, and that kind of functionalities you cannot achieve that with only using webhooks or using APIs. And for that specifically, you should ask yourself, should I change the core? The idea was, okay, should I change the core? Maybe this is a core functionality, or can I do that with a Rocket.Chat app? Okay, so Rocket.Chat provides you, I'm not going to enter a little bit, our good old Dab that's going to show us about that, but Rocket.Chat provides you a set of tools and frameworks, an SDK or whatever you want to call a framework, or whatever you want to call it. But basically you can encapsulate all the application, all that logic into a single app. Okay, and then if you want, only if you want, you can publish that app to our marketplace, and all the Rocket.Chat community can use that app. Or if you just want to side load, that we call, you want to install only that app for your specific workspace, you can do that too, right? So that's the basic of apps and all the levels of integrations that you're probably going to run into, and all of us and our communities usually go through all those steps. So Dabdut, can we go dig into the app development?
Yes, absolutely.
You're
Thanks
you're
for
new. Your new camera looks really sharp, by the way.
Mac. This is the only time I'm gonna say good things about Mac. So, Duda, shut up. Don't say a thing. Uh, so yeah, thanks Duda for the explanation on core updates. This is, as I said yesterday, it's something I see people mistake quite a lot, and I think we should kind of be wary of it. And you actually gave me the idea, like we were thinking about how we are gonna kind of represent it, like not gonna build an app from scratch, but show some existing app, so that they can kind of understand. And you actually gave me an idea that like what app I should probably show right now. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, but first let's talk about like setting up your environment. So what Flores showed was awesome. That is essentially what, if you want to tinker with the core of Rocket.Chat, then that's how you do it. But if you are just planning on building an app with our existing Apps Engine API, you don't necessarily need to do that, right? What you need is just deploy Rocket.Chat in your local environment. So first, I'm gonna start with that. I'm gonna show you how you can deploy Rocket.Chat in your local machine with Docker. So let's start with that. And I need to share my screen, which I forgot. 1 second. Okay. Can you see my screen? Great. Okay. So first things first, GitHub Rocket.Chat. So we already have all the Docker Compose files in GitHub. So I'm just gonna go to our GitHub page under our organization, then search for Docker. The first repository is what you want. Scroll down and you'll find the compose.yml. Come here, then let's copy this file. Now, let me know if you can read the text clear enough. Is the text
Now we
clear?
can read it perfectly.
Okay, great. So let me create a folder. I don't know, RocketGov. Okay. Then in here, just name the same thing, compose, or you can also name it like docker-compose. It's your choice, and just paste the whole thing. Okay. Paste the whole file in there. Now, by default, it will deploy the latest version of Rocket.Chat, which you generally want, right? So you don't need to do anything else to the file. First, actually, I need to start up Docker. I don't think it's running. Yeah, Docker is not running. So give it a little time for my Docker server to start up. Just a second. See, Duda, this is why I tell you I don't like Mac.
Yeah, it take a long time. Linux is better, I think.
You know that. All right, once Docker is up, just run docker compose up-d. This will pull the images, like Docker images, and start up your server. Again, this is going to take a little time.
Yeah, it's interesting to note here that and some people might have an outdated version of Docker and Docker Compose, right?
That's good point. Yes.
Yeah, and it can yield like, oh, it's not working perfectly, or some parts, So make sure that you have. Can you state there the Docker version you have?
I have Docker Compose v2.6. The one that matters is right after V, right? The major version. So you need to have Docker Compose version 2. The version 1 that was previously written in Python is unsupported. It's not supported anymore. The only thing that's supported is this one. This Compose v2 should be in most distributions repositories, except for RHEL, which doesn't have Docker altogether. But like Ubuntu, Debian, they should have this one, and the package name should be Docker Compose plugin, just for the record, right?
Yeah. So that Docker-Compose is outdated, right? It's deprecated and should be avoided. So you need to install the latest Docker and then use Docker space compose. Okay.
Okay.
Nice.
Good. So now I can run Docker Compose PS, and it should be running. And if I go to localhost 3000, I guess it's taking a little time. Okay. Yeah, it's taking a little time.
Yeah, and for those who are not used to Rocket.Chat, whenever Rocket.Chat is ready, it's going to present you with a very characteristic square, right? I love that square.
So one thing that I actually going to show you right now is this is a trick. I think that you might find helpful. A lot of the times you find yourself doing something like Docker compose down, sorry, down dash v, or like removing uh, all of the collections just to kind of reset your installation. And every time you do that, and you kind of come back to Rocket.Chat, you'll see the setup screen, right? So one thing that I'm going to show you is how you can kind of, for development purposes, skip that part, right? Have your user already created, and every time you kind of kill everything off, it'll still start up in your login screen, right? I think that's something extremely helpful. It has been, at least for me, quite a lot of times. I'm not going to fill this one up right now. I'm just going to quickly get into the other part. So open up the compose file and get under environment. So I want admin, then user. Tuda, please correct me. Is this user or username? Just user, right?
I will need to check it.
Yeah.
Let me
Let's
see.
just do it and we'll see. Right. So admin user is the username for the admin user. Then we have admin password. Let's set this to, I don't know, 1234. And then we have admin email. Let's set this one to,
That's username, okay? Admin username.
okay. Yeah, I always
Yeah.
confuse these things.
Yeah, and be aware that the admin and administrator and some others username are reserved for Rocket.Chat, right? So
Yeah,
if you
exactly.
put that admin, it's not going to work.
Yeah. So if I like do admin, this won't work, right? So you need to be aware of that. And I think finally I can just do like admin name. I'll just set Buddha just to confuse everyone. Right. So these will create the admin user, right? The admin user you would otherwise create over here. So you have the name, username, email, and password. And finally, I'm gonna set uh, show setup wizard completed. Okay. So now if I do like Docker compose down v, Docker compose up d, and let's wait. And this time around, you shouldn't see any of this. You can just log in with your already set credentials. I guess while this is going, if you have any questions.
Yeah, I have one question. Will this also initiate the cloud app store stuff, or do we need to do
No,
that manually?
no. That has to be separate, right? The marketplace stuff, that has to be separate. I'm going to show that as well, because when you are developing apps, you don't necessarily need the marketplace stuff, but obviously for like submitting the app, you do need that. So I'm going to go through that as well in the Rocket.Chat settings.
This show setup wizard may not work because I think you need to add like override setting.
Well, you only need override setting when the setting is already in the database, right?
Oh,
If it
okay.
is
Didn't
not,
know
you
about
can
that. Sorry.
use that one. I actually did it intentionally so that someone actually brings it up.
Yeah,
So yeah.
that's nice.
You-
I always thought that they would only interact over and change whatever, if
If
there
it's
is like
already in
overwrite.
database, then you need the override setting to basically override it.
Oh, nice.
But if it's not, like I just cleaned the volumes, so there is no database to begin with, so I can just set the default from the beginning.
Okay, so overwrite, you always do that, right? And if you don't add the overwrite, it's going only for the first run.
Yeah.
That's
So
very
look at
flexible.
this. We have like our initial user already created. The name is Duda, email is Devdut Chakraborty, and username is Devdut, which is again pretty interesting. So let's reload, and there you go. No setup wizard. I can just do this. And yeah, here I am logged in. So next steps. Next, let's actually show the marketplace thing, right? For example, if I go to marketplace right now, it will show me some apps, but it will also show me like I have to log in. Right? So the first thing you need to do is go to settings, then in here search for setup, and you'll see this option, setup wizard. Under this, just agree to the terms and conditions, right? Without this, you cannot actually enable the connectivity services. So save this, then come to connectivity services. Florist,
Yes.
do I go through the like workspace register one right now? Just confirming because it's not necessarily needed for app development.
No, and it's a straightforward process, and I
Yeah.
didn't see it fail in the past 2 months. Before it did, but currently I think it's just like click and read. If you don't read, it might fail, but it's not usually a user fail. It's usually a user failure, not a system failure.
Yeah. I guess then we can kind of skip this one and just get into the app part.
Yep.
Okay, so just to clarify here, what we did here, we skipped the setup wizard, right? On the setup wizard, is going to register the admin,
Yeah.
configure the admin, and then you're going to connect to our cloud here in Rocket.Chat. So the
Yeah.
idea to connect to the cloud is that you can have push notifications and access to the marketplace. Okay, we are as due to the time, and we are not going to show you how to register yourself, but you can go there to administration and settings and connectivity service, or at the setup wizard, you're going to be able to do the registration. That's a very easy process. It's
Yeah.
going to send you an email and all that. Okay, so we are going to go directly into how to configure your workspace in order to be able to send the app directly to there. Okay, because by default it does not allow you to upload the app directly, only through marketplace. But in order to develop, you need to create that. Okay.
Yeah, if you're like building locally, you can just enable development mode and just install the app, like sideload the apps, right? This is like a general feature Rocket.Chat has. So to enable sideloading of apps, go to workspace settings. In previous versions, I'm not sure if you're running like some previous version, it would be under here like administration settings. But in newer versions, that option has changed to this one. So under workspace settings, um, under general, scroll down to apps and then enable development mode, save changes, and that's about it from Rocket.Chat side. That's all you kind of need to do, right? Next, let's start with the actual app. So to create the app, you need to first install the app CLI. So to install that, you run npm install rocket.chat right here. npm install rocket.chat/app CLI and install it globally. Let's wait for this one to complete.
I'm following this live in my local machine development.
Hopefully it doesn't fail for you.
We'll see. That makes it
May
interesting.
the demo gods be with me. I just stole Aaron's line. Anyway, so once you have the CLI installed, just run rc apps, then create. Oh, I always like misspell this one. Just redo this. RC apps create. Then give it a name. Let's see, demo app. Then demo application for of author's name. Duda. Homepage. Save it. Rocket.Chat. Okay, so this is actually an important part. So when you are submitting the app for marketplace, you need to have a link to a support page, right? This is actually quite important. There are other links I'm going to talk about in a minute. But let's say it is an open source project, right? So where should you link it? You should link it to your issues, right? So if your code is on GitHub, then link to issues, or GitLab, same thing, issues. If your code is not open source, you should still have like a public page where you specify your support policy. You might even state that you don't provide any support. That's also okay, but you should have a page, right, for the app to be approved by our marketplace team or apps team. Right? That's a very important one. For this one, I'm just gonna do github.com rocket.chat issues. Okay. All right. So once this whole command is done, you can see that I have this new folder, demo app. Get into the demo app. So this is our normal app, right? By default, this app does nothing. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm not gonna change any of this code. I'm just going to install the app in our Rocket.Chat server. To do that, what you need to do is run rc-apps deploy, then URL http 127.0.0.1, the port number, then you give it your username with p, enter your password. Okay, then hit enter, and that's it. That will install the app to your server. If I go to workspace, then apps, then installed, you should see the app installed right here. Okay, so for a quick rundown, like this is like I can see this in apps, but there is no direct feedback. I can't exactly experience the app right now. Okay, so for this one, I'm just going to create like a quick hello world app. We already have the documentation for that in our developer docs, so I'm just going to follow that real quick. So first, I'm going to create a commands directory, and in there, let's do hello world.ts. So we do need TS. TypeScript is the language we use for Rocket.Chat apps. That's very important. Okay. Now this is another thing. Just quick remark, quick thought. Let's say a Rocket.Chat app has multiple like components, right? And one of the very kind of prominent components is slash commands. And generally, when we create such a slash command or slash command component in our app, we try to put them inside of a commands directory, right? Or command, something like that. It's just a convention. You don't have to follow it, but it's nice to do, right? So, okay. I'm not going to explain every single line of code that I'm writing right now. We have documentation for that, just at least for this one in general. So a slash command is basically a single class that implements the i/command interface, right? So I can do like hello world command implements i/command. Okay, so this class has multiple properties that we have to kind of implement. So first one is command. So this is the actual command. So in Rocket.Chat, if I go to any, let's say any room, there is a general room right here. If I put a slash, you'll see this list. These are all slash commands. Even though I don't have any apps with slash command right now, these are just built-in slash commands. We can add more with apps, right? So these are the slash commands, and right after slash, what we write is the slash command name. In this case, let's do hello, right? So by putting hello, what I mean is that I can write a hello slash command like this. Right now, it's going to complain that there is no such command, but soon we can kind of do that. Next is provides preview. And I set it to false. So this is, I can write this. Sorry, yeah. So provides preview for certain slash commands, like say for example, we don't have it right here. It can show like previews on top of like the message box. For this one, we don't need that. Then I18 description, I'm just gonna set to empty. And then example, same thing. Okay. Each slash command has a like entry point, right? So when you kind of, let's say you run me something, so you're running the me slash command with the something argument, and you hit enter. When you hit enter, something gets executed, right? Some function gets executed. So that function in this case is executed. In general, your editor should be able to kind of autocomplete like mine can, right? So you don't have to exactly worry about these parts. Just look into, for example, the I slash command definition, what exactly there are, like the functions and etc. Just look into those things, and you'll understand pretty well what you need to implement. Duda, I think there is a reference documentation for our apps engine, right? Under our apps engine repository.
Yeah, you mean like a website that you can get to
Yeah,
know all the information, right?
exactly. Yeah. So I think apps engine. If I go to the repository, yeah, right here. Yeah. If you open up apps engine, there is a link, and you can see like all the events, all the accessors, all the like interfaces and everything kind of documented right here. Right. So in this case, I just want to send a hello world message to the room, right? So let's do that. Modify dot. Let's just import these things first. So let's see, creator.
Yeah. Okay. So one piece, interesting piece here is that I'm not a Node developer. I can excuse myself about that. More of a Python, but it took me a while to understand, all that context and all that read and modify. So basically, every command that you're going to run, and correct me if I'm wrong, David, every command you're going to have those dependencies injected, right? So context here is going to be an object that you will usually have all the informations about that channel or where that's going to be run, right? And
Yeah.
that modify stuff, it was the one that I was like, hey, what's that? But if you understand that the modify is kind of I think it's in fact an interface that you're going to modify the actual state of the chat, right? And
Yeah. So
once you understand that, okay, I'm going to modify. So for example, he's getting through modify, he's getting the creator and he's starting a new message, right? So that makes easy to understand all that. And for example, on that command you want to request something outside of Rocket.Chat, you have the HTTP there. So all of that's going to give you the tools to not only interact with Rocket.Chat but to the external world and do whatever you plan to do with your app.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Everything you said to the kind of is inspiring me to say, like, talk more in depth about our apps engine, but we just don't have the time to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah. But
So
we can do. We don't worry that we can do a more in-deep app development
yeah,
later,
I
of
mean,
course.
if they really want to, I guess we could kind of extend this call to a separate day and go over the apps engine, like how exactly an app works, right? I think that's kind of a confusing part. Like we are writing all this code, but exactly how is this code being run inside of Rocket.Chat, right? For example, with Mattermost, they have this webhook kind of thing, right? Their apps are essentially external services, external servers, you know, servers, clients, both at the same time, essentially. But that's what Mattermost architecture is for apps, which is easier to understand. Ours is different because our code actually runs directly inside of Rocket.Chat, right? This code doesn't live anywhere else. So everything you are writing, this actually kind of gets glued into our existing Rocket.Chat code in runtime. So that can get a little complicated to understand. So if we have to, we can kind of talk about that in detail later.
So far, the one-on-one is going well.
And then let's do text. Row code. Okay, and then just final thing. Okay, so this is a very simple hello world command. So what this is exactly doing, like it is a little like it's not that complicated to kind of read. First thing is, as Ruda said, modify. Modify is we have certain objects that are passed to every slash command executor. For example, we have this read. What read does, it gives us read-only access to many Rocket.Chat resources like settings, users, rooms, etc. Then we have modify. What modify lets us do is we can create certain Rocket.Chat resources, we can update them, or we can delete them. Okay, these are the like most basic operations we can perform with modify. Next, you see like we are getting from modify, we're getting a creator, right? A creator object can create like users, rooms, messages. Next, start message. Start message is, well, creating a message. And inside of that, what we're passing is a very like the most basic structure of a message. So a message must have a room, right? It must exist in a room, and then must have a sender, right? Who is sending the message? The final part actually is not important. We can kind of exclude that, but we can't do this. If I do this, TypeScript is going to complain. But I can technically remove it. So a message doesn't necessarily has to have texts. It can have blocks, right? And that's part of UI kit and the whole UI part of the apps engine. For now, I'm just going to pass in the text. And then finally, I'm calling the creators finish method, which is taking the builder, right? The kind of incomplete message object or an object that has the structure of the message that will be sent to the backend, hey, this is the structure I need for the message. Please create this. Right. Finish is going to essentially ask backend to finish the creation of the message. And that's it. Now, what we need to do is go back to the main class file. So if we look at the app.json file, there is something called a class file, right? Inside of class file, you have demo app.ps. So I can do demo app.ps. So this is our main like app. If you see like we are extending app class. This is our main app. So inside of this, we need to basically register the slash command. So I think it's extend configuration. Yeah. inside of external configuration, I'm going to do await. Okay, one more thing. Okay. So configuration dot slash commands dot provide slash command, and then pass it the instance of your command class. So in this case, new hello world command. Okay, and that's it. You registered your slash command, and it's ready to go. I can exit out of my editor and do rc apps deploy the same command that I used previously, and the app is uploaded. If I go back to Rocket.Chat, I should see hello. There it is, my hello slash command. If I hit enter, it should send us hello. Right. It's pretty simple if you understand the concepts behind it. But yeah, that's how you basically create a very simple hello world app in Rocket.Chat. Do we have any questions until this moment, like until this point?
Not in both chats.
Okay, sounds good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk something that Duda inspired a little while ago. Essentially, something we always talk about, Chris talks about, I talk about, is if you can do it through app, do it through an app. Okay, so a lot of the times people kind of think, can I really do this in app? I think it should be a core feature, right? So here's one of the features that is extremely this is very frequently asked. The feature is called slow mode, right? In Discord, we have this. If we can enable slow mode for a room for like 30 seconds, for example. Generally, I see that it's like 10 minutes, but anyway, I can send a message and then I can't send a message for the next 10 minutes, right? And once the timer is over, then I can send a message again. This is a feature that, a lot of people has asked from Rocket.Chat for a long time. And I was thinking that can we do this in app, right? And I've asked this question to a couple of our community members, and all of them said, "Well, I don't think we can. We should probably do this in core." So one evening, I actually sat down, and here is the app. This is still a POC. I didn't exactly create it with the purpose of actually being used in production or an actual community workspace. We might in the future, but this was just a POC for one of our community members to just kind of show him like, hey, this is how you can kind of do this. Okay, so I'm going to clone this one. There is another app. While this gets cloned, I'm going to talk about this another app. There was a PR I saw a while ago which added the feature of adding reminders to Rocket.Chat. I think Duda, you saw that one as well, and that is one of the examples, right? That person, that contributor, jumped into the core code and essentially added the feature into core, while it was like a perfect candidate for an app. And we already actually have that app. If I go to Marketplace, I can search for reminder. And this app is actually created by Murtaza, one of our own engineers. And it's actually an amazing app. I wish I could show this, but it's on open. And I am not going to show my open chat right now. But yeah, this is the app. This is actually an amazing reminder app. And yeah, this is, as I said, perfect candidate for an app and does not need to be inside of the core Rocket.Chat, right? Same as the slow mode thing. So let's look at slow mode. I'm gonna first like demonstrate the app. I don't remember how the app works, by the way, so give me a moment. So slow mode.
Nice icon.
Murtaza suggested me a really good place for icons.
Yeah.
I should probably I don't know. I should create an app and set it your like image as the app icon. Uh, anyway, okay. So here is the setting for my app, slow mode duration, 60 seconds or what. Let's do 10 seconds just for the demonstration. I save the setting and let's add slow mode. I don't remember. Do I have like, let me just quickly check what options I actually have. I don't
So
remember.
probably this is only enabled if the person is the owner of the channel or administrator somehow,
Yeah,
or you didn't
you
care.
are an
You didn't.
admin and a moderator.
Oh, nice, nice, nice.
Only then you can use this app. So I have this sub command called slow mode list, and it's going to show how many rooms currently have like slow mode enabled. Right now, none of them. So let's enable this one. So for this room, slow mode is now enabled. Okay. All right. Let's send a message. Hi. Let's do another one. Slow mode is enabled for this room. You must wait 9 more seconds before sending another message. So let's wait for 9 seconds.
No, try again.
Awkward 9 seconds.
Glad it's not set to the 5 hours that it was in Hacktoberfest for announcing the challenge. 5 hours, and I was waiting 5 hours and then make another post.
Well, we can do 5 hours,
But it could be interesting. Like if you try again, you add another additional set of
Yeah.
sequence.
I don't know if I'm handling that. Okay, I'm not gonna say that I am. So yeah,
Okay.
time's over. Then time is again. Okay, I have to wait 7. Let's do that. Let's try. Okay, I'm handling that. It looks like. I am
Yeah,
handling.
that can be an option, right? And while you're
Yeah,
developing some app, you say, hey, should I do this or allow that? Okay, maybe I can do that both with our options, right?
Yeah. That can be configurable exactly. And you'll see that the messages that are not being sent are like in gray, and all these messages. And if I reload, those messages should be totally gone. So those are
Nice.
exactly not being sent. So this is a like really simple example of how we can use an app to extend Rocket.Chat, but without actually touching Rocket.Chat. In this case, I didn't have to like even add any feature to our apps engine to do this. It was already in there. So if you want, I can kind of go through the app a little bit. So
Yeah.
the app is actually quite simple. Okay. I'm not going to talk about the logic, but just like the app engine specific things. So what this does is that it actually listens. So what we can do in Apps Engine is we can wait for like hook our process before a message is being sent and after a message is being sent. Right here, what I'm doing is execute pre-message sent prevent, right? So this will return either true or false. If I return true, then a message is going to be sent. If I return false, then a message is not going to be sent. Okay. So this is where I'm actually checking for the logic. Okay. This is where I'm checking if a message should be sent or not, right? For example, if a room has slow mode enabled or not. If it has enabled, then what was the last message that was being said, that was sent? What is the time difference? Is it in the right time difference? Then send it. If not, then don't send it. Okay. This is where I am checking for all that logic. And if I scroll somewhere down, so these are actually POC comments. I'm going to remove it for now. Same here. These are all actually the POC comments. I'm going to kind of remove these ones. The main thing is actually just this one function, this one method, where I am checking for all of this stuff and whether I'm deciding whether I should allow to send the message or not. One of the things that you'll see here is I'm using like HTTP post. I'm not doing something like I'm not sending this to some external service. This endpoint is actually an internal endpoint. This is a hack, actually. This is something we're talking about kind of allowing. Like once I am stopping a message from being sent inside of like this function, this method, there is no way to, at the moment, no way to send a message to the room, right? So how do I work around it? So the way I'm working around is I'm setting up this endpoint, internal endpoint for the app, which takes a couple of things like room ID, user ID, how many seconds I've left, and then just sending the message to that group. Right? That's all this endpoint is doing. As I said, this is essentially just a hack. But yeah, that's kind of all that method is. And then I have this simple slash command, slow mode, as I just showed you. Inside of that, I have a couple of sub commands like enable, disable, list. Enable enables slow mode for the existing room, disable disables it, and list shows how many rooms I have slow mode enabled. Like right now, I should be able to see. This is a bug. Okay, this is a bug. Oh, I know why this is. I know why this is a bug. I know this.
Oh.
That is a bug, and I know where that bug is coming from. If I do like slow mode test, yeah, test is going to show up undefined. Yeah, this is actually Nishant has a fix for this one. Nishant, if you're watching, maybe ping me the PR link again. I know that you have a fix for this one. But this is just for general, this undefined thing. But yeah.
So that was you have used the persistent feature, right? So you store into Rocket.Chat the list of the last message sent. So we have a lot of features that you can persist content information inside Rocket.Chat. You can schedule stuff to run later or to run in each time and add and remove those schedulings. And there's a ton, and you have we doesn't even enter on the interface, right? You can bring up some models, you can send buttons and all that. So it's a very interesting because you can do a lot of stuff, and we are not even covering the basics here, right? We are barely scratching the surface.
There is really no way to kind of talk about all of that. So for example, right in this function, right here I am doing that. Execute post message sent. So once the message is being sent, I have this whole model that actually inserts the message directly into our persistence, which is the app's own storage, right? And if I go to like pre-message sent, over here you'll see that first it checks if the current room is actually slowed, right? If the room is actually slowed or not, which also uses persistence, by the way, right? So the slowed room IDs are also stored in app persistence. So it checks if it is actually slowed or not. If it is slowed, then we are getting the last message that this current user has sent into the current room and taking the created ID. Okay, sorry. The created ID, which is essentially like created at, essentially when the message was created. Okay, and then we're calculating how much time we have left, and then the rest of the logic. Okay, so yes, definitely persistence is the way to go for this one.
And this is also very educational because about half of the teams that have proposed their idea are around some task tracker, health improvement, or other kinds of interaction, which not per se has to be a bot. If you build this in an app, it's much easier for anyone running a Rocket.Chat server to go to the App Store and get your app working for all their users instead of learning how to host the bot, etc., etc.
Totally.
It's a huge giveaway, this one. Beautiful.
Yeah, it makes it easier to reproduce and replicate, right? You can install it easily on other workspaces.
Yeah, totally.
That's nice. Very nice.
That was kind of, I'm sorry I couldn't kind of go through every line of the code. And it's not exactly a huge code anyway. Like, I can put the link in the chat, or can I? Can someone put it in the chat? I can't. On YouTube chat, I guess. So yeah, the code is not exactly complicated. You can go through it if you have questions even around this code, understand it. Leave it in the Event Tornado chat. Will be there. But yeah, this seemed like a good example of showing how you might not need to add your feature to code. It might be a good candidate for an app. So yeah, that's about it. Any questions?
I see none in the event tornado nor in the live stream chat.
Okay.
So either people are really understanding what we're saying or they're doing something else, but gladly this will be recorded and posted there as well. And obviously we'll add in the description all the links of the examples being used, as well as the ones going to the documentation that you can also find in the all you need to know in the event tornado. There's all the links as well. But yeah, I'm really happy with this show, and I learned a lot on the actual app development. And meanwhile, while you're building the app, I was getting dependencies old school style. So in NetCharge, your method is faster.
Yeah.
Very good. Congratulations. And I think we have another session for tomorrow or the day after. Can we talk about it?
Yeah, just
for the closing notes. Okay, so as you saw here how all the levels of integration and how you can easily create an app. Okay, so feel free to do that. If you have any questions, we are going to be all there at what channel they can find it, hackathon support maybe.
Yeah, there's actually two. You have a Rocket.Chat code, which is going to deep dive in these kinds of code structures. And then you have the hackathon support, who's more for like the organizational as well as getting your local stuff up and running. Yes.
Okay, so I think Rocket.Chat code is more appropriate, so you can find us there, or you can directly contact us if you have any questions, but it's better to send there. And for our next session, the idea is to show you if you see that and you say, okay, that's an app, my idea is a good candidate for an app, okay, let's go that path. Or if your idea is something related to a bot and you want to create the bot, I'm going to show you some good practices and how you can do that using specifically BotPress, which is a more easy to start bot framework. But in Rocket.Chat, you can basically do with almost all bots that you want. You can, if there's not a connector, you can create one, and all the connectors for the bot is usually done with a Rocket.Chat app, right? And some of those bots we already have the connector. And what you're going to see on this next session, and we're going to send you the links, is how to do that, how to deploy a Rocket.Chat together with BotPress and make all them work together.
Cool. Do you want to do that tomorrow after the checkpoint or before the checkpoint?
Well, we can. I think we can do after, because the first checkpoint does not need to be.
The first checkpoint is all about going over the ideas, giving suggestions, and so forth. Not sure if we take the whole hour, but let's just book it tomorrow at 5 Central European time.
Okay.
So yeah, same kind of session as this one, but then zooming into the actual bots. The robots are coming.
Okay, that's it.
Well, thank you all for watching, and thanks Debdud and Duda for the help with the splendid explanation. I learned a lot.
Me too, yeah. Well, thank you everybody, and see you guys soon, maybe.
Maybe soon, if not tomorrow.
Okay, bye-bye.
That was nice.